This is chapter 128 of The Flower of Freedom by Deborah J. Reeves. All rights to both the book and presentation are reserved. Here we go. After you've taken your chair, we'll begin. No burdens, leave them outside. Rest and relax for a bit, 8 minutes or less. Chapter 128, Single Life. The next morning, Bianca was standing at the windows of the suite, wearing her outfit from the last night without her panties or shoes. She looked back at the bed where Damien was still asleep, and she felt a twinge of disgust. She had insisted on wearing her dress because she was still uncomfortable with her cesarean scar. But Damien did not appear to have noticed, nor was he the slightest bit bothered by it. He had what he wanted. It was already 11 a.m. on the first day of a new year, and as Bianca gazed out the window toward the beach, she thought she saw Jeff and Hans laying on blankets with a passel of young girls around them. One was wearing a bright pink bikini, and she laid on the blanket next to Hans. No competition, thought Bianca, looking at the girl's slim, undeveloped figure. As Bianca watched, Hans got up, looking bored, and he walked back to his car, signaling to Jeff that he was leaving. A few of the young girls jumped up and ran to Hans' car and got in. Jeff stayed put, enjoying the South American sun, and several girls stayed with him. Bianca looked back at the bed, and she just knew that she was not interested in a rematch. She slipped into her panties and grabbed a large strawberry from the platter on the cart that had been wheeled in with more champagne last night. Straightening up to her full height, she reached into the clutch to retrieve her tennis bracelet, and she snapped it onto her wrist, noticing the earrings. She walked out the door while Damien still slept, and she carried her shoes to the lobby, where she asked the doorman to hail a cab. She put her shoes on in the cab as she gave the driver the address. He enjoyed a good view of her lace panties as he nodded. When she got to the house, her parents' doorman paid for the cab, and she sauntered into the house and up to her suite. Her mother asked the doorman if Mademoiselle Bianca was home, and he nodded. They did not see Bianca again until late that day, when she got hungry enough to venture downstairs. When Damien telephoned that afternoon, Bianca told the maid to report that Bianca was sleeping. Damien hung up the phone, chuckling and thinking that he had worn her out. Bianca stayed in bed and thought about Hans, just as she had when she had been with Damien. Damien just did not measure up. For one moment she reflected on the passion she had enjoyed with Bertie, and then she shook her head. Enjoying someone's body did not mean that one must enslave themselves for life. Thinking about him made her uncomfortable, so she changed the topic. It was simple biology for her. You can't fight biology, she thought. At one point, she thought she might be hungry, but she rolled over and hugged a pillow against her stomach until the feeling went away. She had no wish to deal with her mother's disapproving looks, or worse yet, her assertions of what a proper, dignified woman would do. How did her father ever get ensnared by her mother? Bianca thought for the 1,000th time that she was nothing more than a mannequin for fashionable clothing and a living servant to her father's stronger personality. The woman was virtually invisible, if she even really existed. Perhaps she was just a reflection of her father. She hung on his every word, Bianca remembered telling her mother, when she was perhaps 5, that she did not want to be a lady. Her mother was always exhorting her to be ladylike. Bianca rejected it then, and she rejected it even more firmly now. She would tolerate her mother's presence as long as she could, and then Bianca would set sail into the wild blue yonder and make a mark so far beyond anything that her insipid mother ever thought a man could attain, that it would make her rethink womanhood. Bianca chuckled, and she rolled over and went back to sleep. The world was her oyster, and she would keep all the pearls for herself. When she awoke, she was too hungry to deny it, so she padded downstairs to raid the fridge. Her mother lived on water and celery sticks to keep her girlish figure, but Bianca wanted champagne and caviar. She knew that they would be in there somewhere, because they were her father's favorites. She wondered just how she might get Hans' attention. Then she knew. She was never one to enjoy the company of women. She liked men. She had never had a best friend before, so why not give that a try? That Jeff seemed like a great guy. He was no prudish, shrinking violet, and he had a wicked sense of humor that never failed to make her laugh. So why not make friends with him? Eventually, she'd have to cross paths with Hans, wouldn't she? She would get her parents to invite Jeff for lunch on Sunday. Why not? That's the end of this chapter. Chapter 128. We look forward to seeing you for the next one. And as always, we thank you for coming and request that you press subscribe and give us a like so that you never miss an episode. We look forward to seeing you again. I remain your friend Deborah.